text that fucking phone? You got me fucked all the way up. That right there should be enough for people. I can't believe people will even sit Melissa's live having her RSO husband even speak about what kids went through. That's nasty. Willis, that's nasty as fuck. I don't think I'm melting down whatsoever. This ain't melting down. At all. At all. Not one bit. Don't block Missy. Missy, you think it's cool for your RSO husband to be talking about my kids and what we deserve? You want to grab a box or you want to bounce too? See, here's the difference in me and you bitches. I'll give you a box. I ain't run or scared from none of y'all. I don't hide. I don't do live to live. So if you're going to be about it in the goddamn box. Come say that with your whole ass fucking chest. All of it. I want all of it. I want all of it from you.
Bro, mod me.
And I don't care who wants to say how you're playing victim or you're making... This is my story. This was never anything publicly released in a court case. This is never anything on any court document. Those recordings, those testimonies, they're sealed. They're minors. You can't find it online. You can't. It'll say minors submitted testimony, but you can't ever find that transcript online. It's sealed for minors. I don't know. To play my kids' voices, I know that part's illegal. She threatened to do that, but I don't think Nicole will do that. But I know Nicole will play the recording of that big phone call they had because Maymay did it earlier today. Like I said, they had a big 20-person phone call where they did play the recordings of my kids' voices, but I don't believe Nicole threatened to do that part. So if she does play my kids' voices, yes, Nicole can get in a lot of fucking trouble, a lot of trouble. So I think she's smarter than that and she'll probably edit that part out. But you'll hear people talking about this like they know what it was. And that's not what it is. There was no coercion. There was no secret recording by a man. I never let any man record my daughters talking about that. All I did was ask him to record the day before when my daughters were having allegations. And he was on FaceTime recording. He wasn't in person. So it's like... That recording, I wanted to save my ass because my kids were saying some crazy shit. But the next day, that was about their personal experiences with their dad. So, with that being said, that is allegedly supposed to happen tomorrow at 8 p.m. And the reason why I'm sharing it now is because if anybody, I don't like when people tell people stories. I don't like that. It's one thing if something's on a court document, like what we just did in the last live. We weren't telling Willis and Melissa's stories. We were reading off of actual court public shit. This shit that she's talking about was never for the public ever. It was never made public unless it was made public by Maymay and that man. But it was never made for the public, if that makes sense, legally. It was never even publicly played in court. They played it in a closed, the judge's chambers. It was closed. It was me, the judge, the prosecutor, and that recording, and my victim's advocate. That's it. And his lawyer. And him. That's all that was there. Closed judge's chambers for that recording being played. Granted, I didn't know this man was behind my bedroom door recording it for himself. That's pretty fucking sick. And I called him while he was at work and I was like, I can't believe my daughter's doing this to me right now. You won't believe what they did. And I was telling him what happened and we were on FaceTime and he could hear my daughter in the background. I'm going to tell the cops you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. She was going, it was bad. Mind you, we're talking about young girls who just got fresh out of a very serious situation. So we got to have a little grace for these little girls. They had a rough go bout. So while I'm on FaceTime with him, I was like, can you please just hit record on your phone while I wait for the cops to come back? Because I called the cops at that point, not on my daughter, but I wanted them to come back because I was worried of what might happen. Is she going to lie and say I'm abusing her? Because of the, you know what I mean? Like the whole situation, everything that happened. So yes, I asked this man to record while we're waiting for the cops and he did. So it was about a 20-minute recording of my daughter. I was sitting just like this. I wasn't saying a word and my daughter was going ham on me. And I was like, go to your room, go to your room, go to your room. He sent me that recording Long story short, the police came. They talked to her once again. They said, you can't act like this. If you do, we can take you for being unruly. So you better stop talking to your mom like that. And she did stop. Once again, the cops left. So I hung up, let my boyfriend at the time go back to work. I sat down with my daughters and I was like, what is going on with you guys? Because we do have somewhat of an open relationship. My daughters are very open with me. We have a very, very open, honest relationship. And after we started talking, my daughter started crying, very upset. And I could tell that when my daughter was acting like that with me, it wasn't that she was being unruly. She was hurt and scared. And it was a lot for my kids, okay? A lot for my kids. And so that's when I had to take my demeanor down and I had to sit here and I was like, okay, what do I do? So we rested for that night. We shelved the conversation. And the next day, it was a Saturday. There was no school. The next day, my boyfriend at this point, he came over that night, spent the night. Here we are Saturday. We woke up, fresh day. We had breakfast. And then I wanted to have a discussion with my daughters. So I asked my boyfriend to go downstairs and watch TV or go do whatever he needed to do. I'm going to go upstairs and talk to my kids. Right. So my baby's downstairs taking a nap and I had my two daughters in my bedroom, shut my door, and the boyfriend I thought was downstairs outside doing whatever. And we started to have a discussion. My daughters, they were being very emotional. I did call. It was a Saturday, but I had a victim's advocate that works 24/7, but she's available on the phone 24/7. And I did call my advocate and I said, I'm about to have a conversation with my daughters. I feel like it has to do with the dad, and we have court coming up soon. What do I do here? And she was like, go ahead and record the interaction, because we are going to court soon. And they wanted my daughters to testify against their dad, but my daughters were too scared to do so. So anything that had to do with their dad, if this makes sense, the prosecutor, before had told me record it, save it, we'll turn in for evidence because they didn't want to face their dad. Okay. We're talking about 16, 15-year-old little girls. I get it. They don't want to face their dad. So the only way to really get them to testify was to submit recordings, and that's fine. And I had about 3 or 4 of those recordings that were for court use only. Never for public knowledge. Never. I would never release these publicly. Okay. So anyway, that's the backstory for that. So I call my advocate. She's like, record the interaction. Make sure you say on the recording that they know you're recording your daughters and that this is for court purposes only. I was like, okay, cool. So I start the recording. I have it propped up the phone. It's just me and my 2 girls. And I said exactly what the advocate said. I was like, this is for a recording purpose for court only. You're not in trouble. Mommy's not mad at you. I just want to talk to you about what's going on. And you can say whatever you want here. There was no hiding nothing. Even if it was going to hurt me, they could say it. So we started talking about how they went to their dads behind my back. My one daughter started bawling. She's like, but mommy, I didn't even like being there. Trigger warning. And I'm sorry, I don't want to stick too much in this topic, but this has to be said due to Nicole's threat. I want to make that very clear. My daughter basically in so many words was like, mommy, I didn't like being there because daddy was saying things about you that I didn't want him to say. So basically, without me going into detail to explain what I'm saying, they were giving me gory details of what their father was putting in their heads the night before about me, because he knew court was coming up soon and he was trying to make me look like an unfit mom and I wasn't a victim of DV. It was a nightmare, a fucking nightmare. Okay. So the whole time I'm recording this interaction on my phone. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't find this out until, this was in April. I didn't find this out until July when I split up with the boyfriend. And I'll tell you why in a minute and how, because Nicole and Savage have a lot to do with this. Unbeknownst to me, the motherfucker was outside my bedroom door the whole time recording us talking. I had no idea he was doing that on his own phone. Okay. Mind you, stay with me. I had no idea at the time. So I go about my thing. I record this interaction. It was an hour long. It was a very emotional interaction. And it did get submitted to the prosecutor. It did go to court eventually. And it was a testimony from them. Okay. Fast forward. Like I said, I broke up with dude in July. He did some foul shit. A lot went down. Hold on one second. Give me one second.